Hi there, so today we're talking about practical prints that I've made with my 3D printer, primarily my Bambu P1S, although I have had 4 printers in the past. This is the current one that is staying, the rest I've parted ways with, but this comes sort of as a response to just seeing something in the news saying, oh, 3D printing is just a fad for making, what was it, cosplay and just miscellaneous miniature toys, which I have never used it for. I've made mainly functional prints, so I'm just gonna go over all the prints that I see and use in my daily life that wouldn't be possible, or would be possible but very expensive and not as precise if I went with like a store-bought situation, or if I had to get custom made. Let's get into it. One of these prints is just a small calendar holder that I made and designed myself. When the pages rip from having the 3M in here, this will clamp them all together and make sure that the calendar stays on the wall. Next is just all these stars all over the place, all over the walls. These are all 3D printed glow-in-the-dark filament, along with this light switch, also glow-in-the-dark, I 3D printed, just for fun because I love glow-in-the-dark filament and how cool it is. I have a collection of hooks that I printed throughout my rooms, just for hanging clothes, hanging hats, things like that. I'm sure you can buy them, but can you custom make them for your door width, for your how many hooks you want? I mean, I could literally make this thing go all the way down to the door handle if I really felt like it, so. Now, I'm not going to include like printer specific modifications, except for I 3D printed a mount and a hose that goes into my air purifier here. That way it is filtering that air directly coming off the exhaust off the printer. Can't buy this even if you wanted to. Small life convenience of just a curtain holder that you can put your curtain around, completely 3D printed. I'm big into photography and film photography if you've seen my channels, but I have these film holders that I printed for 35mm film, as well as for 120 film. A custom lens cover made out of rubber for my Lubitel. More film holders that have a hook that you can clip onto your bag. A container for your film, just to store it in your room. Lens caps for lenses. And then coming onto the digital side, I have these battery holders for my batteries, as well as caps for my 1DX. This one is the factory one, and then this one obviously I lost, so I had 3D printed in a brighter, harder to lose color. I was also able to make a case for my deburring tools. This is made out of just standard PLA. I've used it for over 2 years and doesn't show any signs of breaking or anything. Closes with a nice satisfying clasp. One of my favorite 3D printed objects is just this keychain caliper that I found. So I can literally measure anything outdoors whenever I need to get a size. And it's millimeters, so the best measurement, of course. And literally just hangs on your keychain whenever you need to measure something. You can measure and get your dimensions just to put into Fusion right away. No need to find a caliper or nothing. Going into the bathroom, we have this nice soap holder, 3D printed wood filament, along with ASA, captures the soap runoff. Followed by this cabinet here with all the deodorants. I have a Q-tip container, 3D printed, along with a shaver holder stand for all the attachments. And in the kitchen, where the drying rack is for the dishes, we have a customizable 3D printable screw that you can vary sizes depending on the angle that you need, followed by 3D printed funnels for coffee or for water, along with coffee spoons for measuring the correct amount of grounds. We finally come to the refrigerator, which has a 3D printed TPU insert. That way when we're trying to get water perfectly into our SodaStream bottle, we can accurately get it into the bottle without spilling all over the floor, which was a constant issue before. Another small luxury is also this small tea holder with nice leaf imprints for putting your tea bags in here, so you don't have to throw them away right away in case you want to use them, or so you don't stain a plate, because tea does stain pretty bad. Here we are in the garage, and one of my favorite things that I've printed for the garage so far is these marker holders. I just sketched them up just to hold markers in here so they don't have to lay in the shelves. Obviously I got to print more. This is just a prototype to make sure I utilize as much room as possible, so it'll get reworked a little bit, but super simple. And then here on our shelf we have a hanging mount for my Ryobi tools so that they don't have to sit on a shelf like this. If you have some solid wood, not this MDF junk, you can mount them anywhere. Of course I got MDF, so it will poke right through on the other side, which we don't want. So these are the ones that haven't poked through yet with some small screws, but at least I can hang 4 tools. Speaking of hanging tools, we have a nice hook that completely 3D printed. Slides in and has been able to hold up to 30 pounds in my testing. I got some PPE stuff up here, and with all these holes, there's much more room for hanging stuff. Don't mind the mess as it's right between cleaning, but this is my X-Tool M1 laser here, and I printed a somewhat 90-degree holder for it. That way I can have my exhaust go up instead of being pushed into the wall and then having to manually kink the hose up. I got this nice 90 degrees going up onto the next 3D printed thing, custom designed by yours truly. Is an exhaust holder that spans all the way across the garage, all the way out. Uses 3M hooks, that way I don't have to damage the wall, and it is perfectly fine holding up this hose. And then literally 1 foot away from that wall hook is this little contraption. So this is a custom invention of mine. It's just a small little pipe to a little nozzle. So whenever I'm welding, this sucks up my welding fumes, goes into one of 2 of these blowers and blows all that exhaust fumes outdoors, so I don't suffocate with that. But this nozzle makes it much easier to put it somewhere, and it's on a magnet, so I can clip it to whatever I'm working on, and then it sucks up the fumes. And then this here is my TIG welder. I custom printed TIG torch holders with a magnet. This is out of carbon fiber, color fab carbon fiber, 20% carbon fiber. And then this is transparent TPU, which as we can see is holding my TIG torch. On that note, I also have these glow in the dark PLA prints. These tell me what kind of welding rod I have, what kind of diameter, and then when the automatic lights go out every 5 minutes, I don't have to get up and try and search in the dark to figure out which TIG wire I'm looking for, as they're clearly labeled. And then right over here on my cart usually are these 3D printed holders for my tungsten. And then we can, hey look, they glow. My point exactly. Oh, I have these 3D printed holders for my tungsten. This is 2% lanthanated. We have the rare earth. We have the CRK laser, and then we have the holders for the thoriated 2% radioactive ones. All different colors, all different textures. I can identify them super easily when that light goes out, so I know exactly what tungsten I'm looking for, and I can easily grab it. It doesn't fall, it doesn't get contaminated. Perfect. And then here we have another just small convenience. This Ryobi 1 gallon shop vac doesn't come with any sort of brush. I'm not going to pay $25 to get a Milwaukee brush or some Chinese piece of junk besides whatever's included. So literally 10 minutes later, I have a brush that is 3D printed for getting the vacuum, for getting rugs vacuumed or car interiors, the carpets. Super easy print, super quick, works really well. And each one of these hoses at the end that's hanging over here has these quick lock connectors that I custom designed, custom made, and 3D printed, allowing me to slip off the hose. This is the hose coming off the laser. So when I'm ready to use my laser, I literally slide it on, lock it, it's set to go. It's locked, it's not coming off. I can use the laser. When I want to weld and need that intake, I will grab my quick lock for my laser intake hose. I will slide that one on. Lock it. I'm ready to use the laser, or ready to use the welding exhaust hose. When I'm done with it, back to the laser. One of the first designs that really got me into 3D modeling and making stuff out of problems I had was this. This is an oil catch can that goes underneath your car. When you do an oil change, you loosen this, and then the oil goes in here, and then you could take it to, like, you know, O'Reilly's or Walmart, or, you know, makes it easier to dump down the drain. Kidding, don't demonetize me. But this little thing right here used to be an air vent. So you pull this little tab and it opens up for air. Well, that thing broke like the first time I used it. So I made a little model of a screw-off container, screw-off lid, that you literally screw off and then you screw back on when you need the air. Holds in place, works. This thing's like lasted me, I don't know, 5 years, if not longer. Super simple solution. It cost me like 30 cents to do, but then the manufacturer, wanting to save all the pennies, instead of doing this, just made a cap that broke. Normally, you'd be stuck with it or have to toss this whole thing because they don't sell spare parts, but I was able to fix it. If you're not careful, you'll miss it. This is a dual battery holder. This is a 3D print, just made out of standard PLA to hold these big boy batteries I got. That way, they just snap in here. And if I want to take these batteries to the backyard or somewhere, they're snapped in. I got this nice little handle, carabiner to like a bike or something, and it's good to go. Super simple. I enjoy darkroom printing, and my little timer that has these vintage old legs broke off. So you can't get these legs anywhere, so I just modeled the bump, measured it as best as I could. It's got legs again. This is a photo enlarger where you can take your negatives and make actual photos with them. These are just test strips, but at the bottom of every photo enlarger is called a lens board, where the lens goes. And these back in the day were fairly inexpensive, so if you have multiple lenses, it made it really easy to switch, and they're made for different type of lenses. Now these are somewhat very antique now, very expensive. I mean, brand new, they're about 400 bucks, and they're selling for about 100 something on eBay. Just a simple piece of metal with one of these guys, and a locking ring. Well, I'm cheap, so I just modeled up my own. This is a lens board made out of PETG with a locking ring that I designed, along with just this translucent PLA, or transparent PLA, or transparent PETG, acting as that little light diffuser, mounted on a lens. And I use this when I want to switch lenses from this guy, and it literally snaps in there, and there it is. There's the lens board, followed by the official lens board. It's cost me like $4 to make, not even. With all the trial and error that I did, I only had a few drafts, so maybe $4 or $5 compared to 100 to 400. You gotta be kidding me, way better. So for those of you that are actually considering a 3D printer, I'm not going to tell you which brand or anything to buy. I'm not sponsored. There's a lot of good brands out there. Just do your research. We're way past the Ender 3 days. So if you're considering Ender 3, there's way better stuff for way cheaper out there right now. But these are just some of my most used things that either I designed, I found online, I've purchased some of these STL files. So I would definitely not be able to live without this 3D printer. That one. Or any 3D printer at all. I just use it all the time. I mean, it's constantly going almost every single day. And you don't have to be limited to just PLA, PETG. I've got some glass filled. I got some nylon stuff. That's PA6 glass filled nylon. Super strong stuff. I've actually used it and sell products to repair a Lexus lumbar support motor made from that filament. I mean, literally, here it is. Here's that part. We got these gears. We got this part. I literally sell this because you can't buy it anywhere else. Once this part wears out, it's like $1,300 to buy a whole new gear and whole new motor when you just break a few gears. So I modeled this up from the actual broken parts and use the PA6 glass filled, usually not in this color. This is just my trial and error color while the filament was on sale, but I usually use black or brown or white. Glass filled nylon. Super strong, but I definitely don't know how I'd be able to, well, I'd be able to live without the 3D printer, but it wouldn't be very convenient, because this thing right here, super nice. Super convenient. You take an idea with some modeling, and then you print out prototypes, and then there you go. You have a working product, or you just have a super easy fix to a problem. Like, I didn't need half the stuff, but hey, why would I go to the store if I could print it out in half an hour and practically have the same thing or something even better customized to my exact use? So if you need an excuse to buy a 3D printer, now's the time. By the time this video goes up, I don't think there's any on sale. But I hope this video was helpful. If it was, let me know, what are some of your favorite prints that you just printed, either you made or someone else made, that have made your life so much easier. Look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.